Hello, everybody. This is Editing Andy. I have two quick messages for you. First of all, this podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only and is not financial advice whatsoever. So please always consult a professional before making any money decisions. Second of all, this podcast is jam-packed with so much knowledge about Bitcoin, crypto, but also life advice because the man, Mr. Martin, is double my age. He's 46. He has so much wisdom to bring. All I say is just give this podcast like 10 minutes to warm up and then we really get into the flow of things and things get really juicy. So be open-minded for the first 10 minutes and then we're really in the swing of things. All right, enjoy the episode. I love you all. Bye.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Attitudes with Andy. This is a place where we get to learn and grow together from the elite. So thank you so much for being here. Today, guys, if you've ever heard the words crypto, blockchain, or Bitcoin, and you've been like, what the heck is that? Or you want to learn more, then this podcast is definitely for you. Today, we have the honor of diving deep into the captivating world of Bitcoin with an exceptional guest, Martin Davidson. Martin is a renowned entrepreneur, educator, and community leader in the Bitcoin and blockchain ecosystem. With an impressive track record, Martin has not only led a thriving Bitcoin business, but has also played a pivotal role in raising a staggering $5.9 million for a blockchain mining company. His visionary leadership led to the development of the world's first blockchain knowledge hub and co-working space, the Blockchain Center. Martin's deep understanding of business and real-world applications of blockchain technology has enabled him to facilitate education workshops and host industry events, ensuring sustained leadership in the blockchain industry. With over 15 years of professional expertise in sales, including managing national sales teams, and his insights are invaluable. Martin's expertise has earned him interviews on esteemed platforms such as Triple J, Drive Time Radio Show, Sky News Business, and ABC's Known and Unknowns, and many podcasts. His perspectives have also been featured in notable publications like The Australian, AFR, Sydney Morning Herald, and Financial Magnets. And now, Attitudes with Andy. Today, Martin will unravel the wonders of Bitcoin, shedding light on why it has captured the world's attention and transformed the way we perceive currency and transactions. Get ready for an enthralling conversation that will leave you with a profound understanding of this groundbreaking technology. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Andy. Nice one.
I was like, wow. It always feels so long when I read it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was like, wow, that's this guy's done a lot.
Yes,
but
you have.
Yeah, it was been, wow, all those things were a few years ago now. It was about 6 years ago. Yeah, 2016, 2017 was when like really things started to kick off around the Blockchain Center. And so that's where a lot of the media coverage, that's when it happened, yeah.
Yeah, so now you're coming out of hibernation and you're ready to do a few more.
Something like that. Yeah, it feels that way, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I hope you're unrested because I've got some juicy questions for you. We're going old school. I've written them down.
Fantastic.
But the first question, obviously, when you start at the beginning, what is crypto? What is the blockchain?
Great question. What is crypto? Well, and the blockchain. Bitcoin is a payment system. It's a store of value, and it is the world's first decentralized payment system. There's no third party involved. There's no bank involved. You don't need a identification. You don't need any credit score. You don't need an address. Anybody can use the Bitcoin network. It's completely free to create an account because it's just using cryptography, key pair cryptography, which is the basis for most blockchains. The different types of cryptocurrencies, they all work similar with key pair cryptography. But Bitcoin was the first and has the most value and the most users. It has the highest market capitalization. So there's more money invested in Bitcoin than any of the other cryptocurrency projects. So Bitcoin is an alternative to the existing financial system, the way we transact with each other. We use bank accounts to transfer money to each other, or maybe we use actual paper currency to pay each other. So Bitcoin doesn't rely on the government or banks. It's a completely decentralized system that anyone can use over the internet, and it's potentially very revolutionary because it's liberating with respect to, some countries in the world have embargoes put on them by the credit card companies. So you just can't, if you're living in that country, you can't transact with the rest of the world. You can't use Visa, PayPal, or MasterCard.
Wow.
Because of the amount of fraud that happens in the country. But obviously not everybody is a fraudster. But what it does mean is, the central banks and these credit card companies, they decide which countries can trade with each other and which citizens of which country can trade with each other. So Bitcoin is an antidote to that. Anywhere with an internet connection, you can send and receive Bitcoins, and then you could change them into your local currency, or you might be able to find someone that will take them for a good or service. You might be able to buy it directly with the Bitcoin or the cryptocurrency. So that's Bitcoin.
Oh yeah. Sorry, keep going if you will.
Yeah. So blockchain technology is just basically one aspect of Bitcoin. It's kind of like a digital ledger where anyone can download the history of a blockchain, which is all the transactions that have happened since the blockchain was started or operated or launched. So in Bitcoin, it was launched at the start of 2009, and anyone can download a full copy of the Bitcoin blockchain, every single transaction that happened since 2009. I don't know the gigabyte size of it now, but
must be huge.
Well, yes and no, but because of the way the system works, it's really the amount of data that's attached to the transaction is very minimal.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not. So it does have that advantage.
Yeah.
And then you download a copy of this all the transactions that have ever happened, and then you can operate what's known as a node. So you have all the transactions, you connect to the Bitcoin blockchain, and then all the transactions that are happening on the network can be verified by your node. And what that does is there's thousands of people around the world running these nodes, and that means that it's all checking to make sure everybody is using the same history of transactions. So it prevents people from duping the network or me sending you a Bitcoin when I don't have a Bitcoin.
Right. Okay. So it stops any, as you said, fraud and stuff.
That's right, yeah, because it's every time a transaction's being sent, it goes around the network. It takes roughly about 10 minutes for a transaction to go into a block, and that's the role of the miners, people running these special machines that have, they're specially designed machines that just run the code of the network. Anyone can do that, but it's a commercial endeavor now. So sure, you could buy yourself a mining device, like an ASIC mining chip. It's a special device, but you'll be competing with, corporations that have got thousands of these machines. So therefore, they will outpace you when it comes to finding a block. So it's just the way the system is designed. It's very elegant. It does take a little bit to get your head around it.
Yeah.
But that essentially is a blockchain. So people send each other transactions in roughly 10 minutes. The miners are verifying the transactions. They find another block. They're looking for a specific number. It's the calculation that they do. The machine that finds the solution to the problem that the network's putting out, that machine is then allowed to stamp the transactions into a block, and that adds to the blockchain. And then everyone that's got the copy of the transactions, the ledger or the node, all gets updated with that information. And then it goes on to finding another block. And that creates a chain of transactions, a history, which is called the blockchain. And it lends itself well to, as a financial payment network and a store of value. But it also has other applications as well, because Bitcoin, for instance, is divisible to 8 decimal places. So I could send you 100 millionth of a Bitcoin, just a little bit of Bitcoin, which is called a Satoshi, actually.
No way.
Satoshi is like the smallest unit of Bitcoin. And that doesn't have much monetary value. but it could actually represent anything that we decided it could. So it could be a share in a company, a vote in an election. It could be a piece of property. It could be a piece of artwork. It could be anything. And the way the network works is that because it's so secure and because it's so secure, we could tag that little piece of Bitcoin as being, a microphone. And then I send that to you, and now you've got a record that maybe you own that microphone now. So it refers to something else.
Yeah, okay. So it's very secure, because I've heard there some ticketing companies are thinking of incorporating the blockchain so that you can't just resell fake tickets or stuff like that, or somebody can't just buy it all up.
Absolutely. There was a project around when I was involved in the industry called Aventus, and that's exactly what they were doing, to prevent ticket scalping, because when tickets are released, people will just buy up as many as they can, and then they'll sell them on the secondary market and try and make profit. So that's just another way that blockchain technology can be used.
Okay, so that was probably a lot for people who have never heard about crypto or Bitcoin before, but I understood majority of that because I've done research. But to summarize, I just want to check that I'm interpreting this right, is basically the whole premises around crypto is it is decentralized. There's no banks involved, as you said. You don't need to wait 2 days for your money to go through. I think a lot of business people love it because they can send, $1 million worth of crypto in a few minutes instead of waiting for the bank to be like, oh, we can approve that, but it won't be in for 5 days. You can transfer on the weekend, all of that. And it's a very secure network because people, it's not the banks being like, hey, yep, this person's got enough, we can approve that. It's like systems, the blockchains or the mining people being like, yep, cool, you can transfer the money because there's enough there.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's how Bitcoin works. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And am I correct in saying there's only ever going to be 20 million something Bitcoins?
21 million, yeah. 21
million Bitcoins. And so why is that good that there's only ever going to be 21 million, or bad?
Sure. Well, it's an arbitrary number. It could have been anything really, but the idea that there is a limit to the amount of Bitcoins that there'll be. The last Bitcoins will be mined in 2140, but we're up to, I think, about 19 million Bitcoins have been mined already. And it's designed to be a deflationary currency system, although it is slightly inflationary because there is Bitcoins being produced by the network every 10 minutes.
So they slowly releasing, so that somebody can't just buy it all up.
Well, it's just no, it's not so that somebody can't. If you have enough money, you can go onto exchanges around the world and you can buy all the Bitcoin that people are selling. Yeah. Although that is only a small percentage of the Bitcoins that are available, because a lot of people are just holding them; they're not selling them. So they're using it as an investment for the future. Yeah. Plus, there's about 4 million Bitcoins that have been lost as well. So people have just lost the private key, or they've just lost the private key. Yeah, and then the way the system works is if you don't secure your Bitcoins properly, or you lose your private key. It's kind of like your PIN number. You won't ever get them back. So there is that is a potential downfall or a risk of using the cryptocurrency if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, and we will talk about that towards the end on how to buy, how to store, all of that, Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But
so on the currency issuance question,
on the currency and the inflation,
so
it's deflationary.
So it started out with every 10 minutes 50 Bitcoins were created in 2009, I think. The January 2009 was the first block, and then every 4 years it goes down by 50%. So the next 4 years, every 10 minutes will be 25 Bitcoins. Then the next 4 years, 12.5, and then just goes down from there 6.2. So I think right now we're into, is it the 6.25, or the next halving would be 3 Bitcoins every 10 minutes. So basically every 4 years, the amount of Bitcoins that are being issued every 10 minutes
I didn't
goes
know
down by
this.
half.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, and then basically the idea is that the value of Bitcoin should increase over time because of there's less and less available. However, there's there'll always be enough for everybody because it's divisible to 8 decimal places.
Okay, but what happens if everybody just decides to hold it?
Well, they won't.
They won't, yeah.
But
Okay.
some people will always want to spend it. I mean,
Yeah.
or eventually you might, if it became the world's global reserve currency, for instance, then people would be using it to sort of to transact with each other as a medium of exchange to buy food and
Yeah, so you'd kind of like have to spend
maybe,
some of it.
yeah, for sure. But that does help to keep the price, higher if people don't sell it, because that's how markets work, right? It's basically, the cost of something is deemed by the market with what people would be prepared to pay, and if there's a scarcity of something, normally that means that people have to pay more. So there's not many Rolls Royces driving around Burley Heads, and if you wanted to buy one, it would cost you more than a Toyota.
Yeah, because the current price is at like 42,000. What is it today? Do you know?
Something like that. About 40,000 Aussie, 29,000
I
US
remember
dollars or something. Yeah, but that shouldn't put anyone off from buying them.
Yeah,
Buying any Bitcoin, because you can buy just $10 worth. You don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin.
Yeah. You can just buy whatever
$5.
whatever little bits. So you probably already know this, but 80% of all US dollars were printed in the last 2 years. Did you know that?
It doesn't surprise me.
80%.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you look at the chart of the amount of currency in circulation since they came off the gold standard, or even since the start of the Federal Reserve, at the turn of century, I think it was last century. Yeah, it's just slowly, constantly printing more and more money. Yeah. It's a debt-based system, so who knows how high the debt can go.
Yeah. Isn't US in like trillions?
Yeah, but who do they owe it to?
The Fed.
Yeah, but
Do they? I'm questioning that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but it's based on the country's output, right? It's based on their GDP. So governments borrow based on their output of the gross domestic product. What is being produced by the country. So just like companies, really. If a company is making a lot of profit, is producing a lot of stuff that people want, then they can borrow on their profits, and that's it's debt-based system. Whereas cryptocurrency, like physical gold, it's kind of like a prepaid system, or more like a post-paid system actually, because the energy to secure the network and to produce the bitcoins has already been invested into the network. And to produce more bitcoins, it requires lots more energy that these mining computers are using. So it costs a lot of money to produce a bitcoin, whereas it doesn't cost anything for central banks to create more currency.
Yeah.
Just like gold, it costs a lot of money to mine gold. You and I can do it. We could go out panning for gold, but companies like Fortescue Metals Group or Rio Tinto, with their big machines, are going to probably be more successful at mining gold than we are. And that's similar to Bitcoin as well. You and I, we could actually become miners on the Bitcoin network, but there's large corporations that are already doing it on an industrial scale.
On a much larger scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I heard that statistic of 80% of all US dollars have been printed in the last 2 years, I was like, I need to buy even more Bitcoin, because like inflation is just going crazy. Whereas I look at Bitcoin as like I personally think it's a good investment, because I'm like, well, there's only ever going to be 21 million. But I did hear on your interview that there could be more than 21 million. As in like in the program, in the...
Oh, if it was forked, I think that would...
What does that mean?
Yeah, if it was forked. Yeah. Well, there was a fork in the Bitcoin blockchain. It was, and they made Bitcoin Cash. So it was around the fact that there's a limit to the amount of transactions that can get put into each block. So there's a limit on the amount of transactions that can happen every 10 minutes, because of the way the system is designed. So some people in the community felt that Bitcoin wasn't being used as a currency system as it was originally intended, and that there should be a change to that technicality in the code. And there was a schism in the community. There was some people didn't agree with that. There was a conflict.
Yeah.
So it was forked. So Bitcoin Cash was born, which was it's like Bitcoin, but it has the ability for more transactions to happen.
But does that mean that there's more Bitcoins out there?
Well, it's a different code. It's a different.
So somebody just fully invented that.
Yeah, so they used Bitcoin basically. This everything the same except the block sizes were different, and then there was some people agreed to secure that network with their computers running a different code, and they created Bitcoin Cash, but that's not Bitcoin. So,
okay.
So it's an alternative to Bitcoin. So people in the community weren't happy with the way it was progressing, and they thought, okay, we'll create our own. So there was a fork. They called a fork. So basically, you take some code, and you change a little bit of it, and you're forking the code. You're creating a new version of it. But over time, it's shown that the market has shown that that one didn't do so well, and Bitcoin still remains to be the one people are using more of.
Okay. Wow, that was hugely technical.
Yeah.
But I do get that as well. So people are kind of probably very skeptical about Bitcoin or crypto in general because it's hugely volatile. You'll see it kind of like have crazy highs and then go really low. So why would everyday people be interested in crypto, or like what would be the benefits of it? Or let's speak specifically about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, Bitcoin is different to the other coins because the other coins there's not certain amounts. They can just keep making them.
They're all different. Yeah. There's lots of them. There's thousands of them.
Yeah.
And some of them are very similar to Bitcoin, and they've just rebranded themselves, but they're very similar.
But Bitcoin's like the OG.
Yeah. Well, that's the one that's used for. It's like the gold standard. The value of it is the highest. It has the most amount of users, the largest developer community around it, the most integration around the world. However, it is designed to be used as money and a store of value, as opposed to some of the other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum, and there's so many of them.
Yeah.
They have different use cases. So they can be used for maybe Internet of Things, where we can connect up different devices to the internet, and maybe those devices can use a different token rather than Bitcoin. They can use Ethereum, and then Ethereum has more complexity. So you can do more things with Ethereum, for instance, than you can do with Bitcoin. And there's other cryptocurrencies. They have their own value proposition of different ways that you can use cryptocurrency, a little bit like we touched on before.
Right. So it's actually like different benefits. Is that because Ethereum...
like different companies, really. They're like different tech companies. Different projects, and they offer different value propositions, and vast majority of them are still very speculative, and all people are trading them like currencies or investments.
Yeah.
But their real world use case, many of them has yet to be proven. So, but why? In answer to your question, why would somebody want to have some Bitcoin? It could be just a small investment, on the potential that maybe it goes up in value in the future, or maybe they like the ideology behind Bitcoin that it's like similar to people that buy physical gold, and if inflation goes up, maybe the cost of gold that goes up in value as well, so that they're not constantly seeing their investments or their money going down in value in relation to the cost of goods and services. So now you talked about inflation. If the price of coffee keeps going up and up, and you like drinking coffee, but your salary doesn't go up and up, you're going to have less and less money to spend on other things. So if you're able to buy maybe a little bit of Bitcoin or a solid gold or something, and you hold on to that over time, maybe that goes up. I mean, nothing's guaranteed, but it's kind of like a hedge against inflation. That's the idea of it. So yeah, and as well, it's something cool to have, whereby it's been around for how many years now? Nearly 15 years now, Bitcoin. So, there's a good chance that it's going to be around for a lot longer now, because it's had quite a lot of attacks by through governments and people trying to hack it. And I mean, it's the only network in the world that doesn't have any downtime. I tried to use my Westpac app the other day just to send some money, and it said, "Oh, not service temporarily unavailable." So
Yeah.
I only had to wait a couple of minutes, but even so, Bitcoin has never gone down in 15 years. The service just keeps going. So, and the next time it goes on its bull run, I believe it goes through these cycles where it goes up and down in value. But if you look at it from it was first being traded at 6 cents in 2010.
6 cents. And then the highest it's been is like 80 something thousand.
Yeah, something like that. Australian
6
dollars.
cents
Yeah.
to 80,000 Australian dollars.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. So if you bought a few dollars worth back in 2010, that would be worth a lot of money now. But,
yeah. Oh
but yeah, it's sort of, and it's nice, and like, every few years it comes into the media and people talk about it, and then it sort of goes away again, and
then people panic and sell.
Yeah, so if people are interested in maybe investing a little bit of money into it, then the best time to do that is when it's quiet, when you're not really hearing about it. The worst time to buy it is when people are talking about it, because that's when the price is high.
So true. So if you're not hearing about it, buy it.
Not investment advice at all.
Yeah, this is not investing advice. This is for educational purposes only. Don't worry, we'll have a disclaimer at the beginning of this. Okay. And so do you think Bitcoin is a new gold?
Well, it certainly has a lot of advantages over gold. You can, like, if I wanted to give you a piece of gold, it'd be quite easy to do it now, right? But it wouldn't be so easy to do it if I wanted to give you $1 million worth of gold. That would be quite heavy for me to carry around. And if we were in different countries, again, how am I going to give you some gold? Put it in a parcel and send it to you. That might not be so great. So compared to Bitcoin, which, we can transact it anywhere in the world, with an internet connection, and it's, happens within 10 minutes, depending on how busy the network is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in that respect, it's sort of a modern version of gold, because it seems to keep holding its value, and it's a hedge against inflation, just like gold. And the only thing it doesn't have is the history. See, gold has got like a long history of being worth, of having value.
Yeah.
Like if you track the price of gold compared to in relation to goods and services, gold has always sort of fared really well. Like 100 years ago, if you wanted to buy an Italian suit, the same amount of gold, you'd use the same amount of gold now to buy an Italian suit. So it kind of it seems to track well with the costs of goods and services. So does that make sense?
Yeah, a little bit. Gold, kind of skeptical about gold.
I mean, yeah, what is it? It's just a shiny metal. I mean, it's used in electronics, but I mean, there's a huge amount more that's just being stored and nothing's really being done with it. I mean, some people believe it does have sort of spiritual or energetic qualities to it.
Wow. There you go.
Yeah, like in South America. I was in Bolivia. I went to visit an archaeological site called Tiwanaku, which was it's a 200-meter square like temple complex, and they date it to around 17,000 BC, and there's remains there that show the shamans of the time would have their skulls stretched when they were born, and they would later have a hole drilled in the top of their head where they would put a little piece of gold, because gold is very electroconductive. And then when they would do ceremonies
wait, when they're alive?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, it's like, I guess they knew what they were doing. So they put a piece of gold in the top of their head, and then when they would do ceremonies on the summer or the winter equinoxes, because the whole complex would be lined up with the astrology of that time. Yeah, that's how they were able to date it. So they would be doing some sort of ritual where they'd be drinking some plant medicines and connecting to, who knows what they were connecting to. So that was using gold for something that obviously we don't use it like that today.
Wow.
And,
Don't try that at home, kids.
Don't don't drill holes in your skulls and put bits of gold in there. No, don't try doing that.
That is wild. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
So
like,
yes,
what?
so there is that potential use case for gold, that it's sort of, it has more uses than we're aware of.
Okay. Next, I want to get into government. First of all, and this might be a little bit off topic, but what are CBDCs? Central Bank.
Digital currencies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that CBDCs?
CDCD. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Central bank, CB, digital currencies, DC. So CBDC.
CBDC. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
What are they? What are they?
What are they? Well, it's a good question. Yeah, I haven't done much look. I've been out of the industry for a few years now. So
You're like, I'm a little bit rusty.
Yeah, a little bit rusty, but they were talking about it like for many years. So central bank digital currency. So rather than using the like the retail banking sector, like Westpac, ANZ, whoever, you have like a digital central bank digital currency that's owned by the central banks.
Right. Because they're trying to play it off like they're crypto, but they're not, because it's centralized.
Yeah, that's
It's not
right.
decentralized.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No more information about that though.
Well, I mean, if you look into the central banks, I think there's only a couple of countries that they're not involved with the currency of that country. I think Iran is one, and maybe North Korea is the other.
So they would bring in these worldwide, and so you would just spend your money in whatever country.
I'm not entirely sure. Yeah. So,
fair enough.
I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, it makes sense. I mean, you've got central banks in each country.
Yeah.
But I guess they communicate with each other.
Well, they'll all be friends.
They hang out in Davos and the World Economic Forum type places, and
nice. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so like, what are governments doing about crypto and trying to regulate it? If you know, much
for
about
sure.
it.
No, yeah, I was in, like, when I was running the blockchain center, that was actually coming in at that time, and a lot of countries have put in regulation around like the on ramps and the off ramps, so the exchanges. So if you wanted to buy, $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, you'd use an online exchange. Most people are doing it like that, because it might be quite risky to meet someone on the street and do a cash transaction with them, So
right.
So people are using online exchanges where you sign up with your 100 points of ID, and then you transfer the money to your account, and then you buy it just like you would do share trading. Yeah, and then you buy the cryptocurrency on the exchange, and then the best case, or the best practice, should I say, would be to take the Bitcoin off the exchange and put it onto a hardware device, an offline wallet, so you control the Bitcoin, as opposed to leaving it on an exchange where it could potentially get hacked, or maybe the exchange goes bust. And so, but yeah, so there are.
So, sorry, I just want to pause there, because this, I don't know why, but that part took me ages to understand. Now I get it. So like, you might sign up to Coinbase or Binance or something.
Yeah.
It's a platform where you put in your details, you put your money, and then you can buy the Bitcoin or whatever you want to buy. But it's better to take it off that platform, because that platform could get hacked. Or
Well, they're centralized, yeah.
Oh.
So the whole point of cryptocurrency is it's decentralized. As soon as you start leaving it in other people's hands, then that's not how it's designed to be used.
Oh, okay. Because technically, if you signed up with Coinbase or something, and then they were like, we actually want to pause everybody's accounts, they could technically do that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's just like the bank that's it's like money that's in your bank.
Yeah, it could just get frozen if you've done something naughty.
Yeah,
Not
for
that
sure.
we're condoning doing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you can take it off the exchange into a hardware wallet, which or is that a ledger? Is that the same thing?
Yeah, there's a few available. Like we always used to recommend a Trezor or a Ledger. They're both companies that have got a good track record, and it's just a way of storing your private keys.
But it's just like a USB, isn't it?
It's just like a USB, that you plug into a computer, and when you want to send or receive Bitcoins, and you don't even need it to receive Bitcoins, because you only need to, you can show people your public address. It's kind of like your bank account and sort code.
Yeah.
But it's the private key you need to keep safe. And these devices do that very well. So they kind of protect your private key. So if you inserted it into a computer that had some viruses on it,
Yeah.
it would still be protected.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
the
very, very safe. Okay.
Yeah.
And when you sign up, I believe you get, 12 seed words or something?
Yeah, that's your backup passphrase. So in case you did lose that device, you can get another device, and then you just, when you boot it up, you enter in your 12 words or 24 words, and then you can even add a passphrase to it as well.
Yeah.
And then you can restore your balance, so you're able to retrieve.
So don't lose your seed words.
No, that's right. Write it down a couple of times, and then, put it in a safe or put it somewhere, or you can even just create a file on your computer that's like encrypted file on your computer. It's quite easy to do. And then you can just, to access that, you just put in a passphrase, and then you can get it. You can get your passphrase back like that. Yeah, there's different ways. It's really, or you could even memorize it. But if you fell over and hit your head,
Yeah, I wouldn't trust myself.
then yeah.
But I've heard people go like to an extreme way to store it, because don't the Winklevoss twins, or however you pronounce their names, they own a lot of crypto, and I think they have their seed phrases maybe split into like 2 or 4 pieces of paper, and then they're all in different safes in different areas of in different areas of the country in America and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, disseminated across different locations. Yeah, well, that's like, there's companies that actually hold Bitcoins for people that are designed in that way. They're specific, like security companies that do that.
Wow.
And they have them in vaults that are like really well protected with
there you
security. Another way of doing it is to have a multi-signature wallet. So you have your Bitcoins, and then what you do, in order to send them, you have to get a few people to agree to sign the transaction. So not one person can sign it. Yeah, so that can work quite well as well.
To make sure that no one's stealing it.
Yeah, so if you're a company and you're using cryptocurrency, you might have your chief financial officer and another person in the company that is, before any transactions can be made, it comes across their desk, and they have to sign it as well. Yeah. So it's called a multi-signature. So rather than just having one person being able to send and receive it, you have multiple signatures required.
Okay, cool. And then how do you spend your Bitcoin?
Well, there's not so many bricks and mortar companies that accept it, really. It tends to be more online, businesses online. So, yeah, there's a lot of companies that accept it online. Or you can find people that are willing to, do work for it as well. So in the tech space, it's quite popular to be used. But if someone's wanting to pay their rent, for instance, they might use a service that then converts the Bitcoin into their local currency. So there's a few companies that do that as well. So as soon as you pay a company for a product, they're converting it on the back end into US dollars or pounds or whatever. Yeah. So and anyone can do that. It's just a plug-in. Anyone can do that on their website. On your shopping cart, you can create a link to.
Okay, so Bitcoin could be a really good investment for some people, maybe. But what about, can it ever pay dividends?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, no, it doesn't pay. It's only a capital gain on Bitcoin. Yeah, so unlike shares, which can pay dividends depending on the company's performance, there are no shares on Bitcoin. Although Ethereum is doing you can stake them. So
is that like mining it?
It's not. It's basically locking up your currency, and then you get a return on that.
Oh,
it's called staking.
So it's basically like earning interest in the bank.
It's like earning interest in a bank. Yeah, it's a different way of securing the network. There's mining, which is using CPU power, computer processing power, which the Bitcoin network uses.
Right.
And then there's staking, which is proof of stake. Proof. Bitcoin is called proof of work. You have to spend a lot of energy and invest in these special machines in order to try to earn Bitcoin. proof of stake is you have your currency and you lock it up, and it means that you can basically be part of the network. And
Wait, so you can earn money from just locking up your money?
you can do, yeah, for sure,
But
yeah.
what's the benefit of that for them? For you locking up your money? Like, why would they give you money for locking up your money?
Well,
not your money, but your ETH.
Yeah, that's a good question, yeah. So the benefit of that is it helps to, people can then vote on what's going on in the network. So whereas, yeah, it gets we're going down the rabbit hole a little bit.
I'm interested.
That's great that you're interested, yeah. So in order for a decentralized network to work, it has to reach consensus, which is a group agreement. If we're not using Westpac or a driving license agency to agree on what is the state of the network, then we have to use another system. So Bitcoin uses the proof of work, and then Ethereum's still proof of work, but there's other networks that use proof of stake. Ethereum is trying to go to proof of stake. Some people believe it's more efficient with regards to burning energy. You don't burn the energy. So with proof of stake is people lock up a certain amount of their currency, and it's kind of like votes in an election. And then it gives you the power to agree of the state of the network. So if I have Ethereum, I want to make sure that the network's going to be secure and it's going to hold value if I'm interested in seeing the value appreciate. So therefore, I would maybe lock up some Ethereum, and I would be involved in the network. So when there's decisions being made about the network, so I'll be running a node which is checking all the transactions like we talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
And then also if there's any upgrades or developers are suggesting changes to the network, then I can vote. I have the software and the investment to vote on that. It's kind of like votes in an election. So similar to people have shares in a company, the people that have got the most shares, the largest percentage, will have more of a deciding factor on what happens on the network. So it's a way of keeping the network decentralized, but you're actually investing in it. So you're kind of like a shareholder almost. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, no, it does make sense. I'm just wondering where this money comes from. Do you know what I mean? Like when you lock it up and you earn money, where's that money coming from?
Right, yeah, well then that comes down to the currency issuance of the network. So different networks have different issuance systems. So it gets, whereas Bitcoin is just very simple in that respect, with other networks, they have multiple. You might get the currency back. So say for instance, there's this one called, what was it, BitShares, I think it was. Let me think of a better example now. Oh my gosh, my mind slips. So there was a network where you would get, it's kind of like Reddit, where you'd actually get currency for posting, but you wouldn't be able to spend that money straight away. It gets locked up, and then you could divest, you could sell it later. But it wasn't the same as getting the actual currency itself that you could trade. So it had less of a value to it.
Right.
But you had to wait for it.
Yeah, okay. So it's like incentive.
Incentivize, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's an incentive, yeah. And the different protocols have different ways of incentivizing, yeah.
Okay. Where do you personally see Bitcoin going in the future?
So with regards to the usage, I think the usage will continue to increase, the amount of people using it. I think new layer 2 scaling solutions will eventuate, so that means it will make it easier for people to transact with it.
Oh, okay.
And it will be faster as well. People will be able to transact faster with it. And I think the value will continue to go up over time. I mean, I think it will continue to have these peaks and troughs where it goes up crazy high and then it goes down and then it goes up. But if you look at the price chart since it came out in 2009 till today, and you were to draw a line, you would just see that it's going up. It's going up. Yes, it goes up and down during that time, but it was 6 cents. Now it's $40,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
So in 13 13 years or something. Yeah.
Which is a crazy return.
Yeah, for sure. If you held it since then, since that time,
Yeah.
for sure, yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, will buy on the hype, and then it'll come down, and they're like, "Oh my god!" And then they'll panic sell.
Yeah,
I'm
for
like,
sure,
don't panic sell. One of my friends is like, "I lost money on Bitcoin." I'm like, "No, you just chose to sell it when it was down, you nincompoop." I'm like, just hold it.
Best investment advice for anyone is only invest what you can afford to lose.
Oh, love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So just start slow. If with anything, start slowly and try and understand the network, understand what you're investing in. Like anything, if you're going to invest in a company, what's the company's values? Who are the people running the company? What do they sell? Is that aligned with your values? Are you even interested in it? Because when you become interested in it, you kind of, gives you a lot more satisfaction, and, it's where you're putting your money, which is, has energy to it, the money that we use and where we put it. So, I mean, I really believed in Bitcoin because I thought it could be a benefit for the world. So that's why I made it I made a business around it. Yeah. So, and the byproduct of that was I was open to seeing lots of opportunities for investment opportunities as well. So it kind of, it worked out well in that respect.
Yeah, that's so awesome. That just reminded me of something. Does the central bank or the Federal Reserve own quite a bit of Bitcoin?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, you don't know? Okay, never mind.
It's quite possible.
I think I saw something about them owning, like,
any financial instrument that the existing encumbrance of financial institutions will probably want to maximize their opportunity from it as well. So it's tradable in many countries around the world now. So
yeah, it's interesting that I feel like a lot of young people are on board with crypto, and then a lot of older people aren't, especially even if they're in the investing world. Like Warren's like big no.
Yeah.
And then I was speaking to, I think he's like the head of investing at ANZ or something. And I was in a room full of all the investor, like middle-aged investor business dudes. And then I put up my little hand in my pink shirt and I'm like, "Hi, just wondering, what do you think of Bitcoin?"
Sure. And what did they say?
They didn't shit on it, but they were just like, for our clients, they want to see past evidence and like a long history. And we just can't really justify it. It's a bit too volatile. I was like, "Oh, okay, fair."
Well, it's a competition to them as well. I mean,
what do you mean by that?
Well, there's no interest, there's no benefit of them adopting Bitcoin because they make money from the existing financial system.
Yeah, that's so true. It's ANZ. Oh, I'm so silly. That's so good. Wow, I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, it's a kind of competitor to them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm curious, what do you think about like the current financial times? People are like being like, "We're about to go into a heckin' wild dip."
Yeah, I don't pay too much attention to the media and the news, and I just try and focus on what brings me passion and joy, and do the things that I love doing. And, when there's opportunities to work and make money and provide, then that's where I put my efforts. And I think, I feel through my whole life, there's a lot of noise in geopolitics and what the governments are saying. And, quite often it's very different from if you actually just speak to people on the street. There's not the same level of fear and, I feel it. It's a lot of propaganda. It's not to say that, governments use interest rates and inflation to, control people's spending. So obviously it does have an effect. People that have got mortgages, governments change the interest rate. Then it means that people have to pay more money to the banks on the loans that they have for their properties. So it means they have less money to spend on other things. So that's, obvious. And then when inflation goes up, the cost of goods and services goes up, it makes it more difficult for people to buy all the things that they want to buy maybe. So they have to sort of adjust their budgets.
Yeah.
I feel very lucky that I've always been able to work, and I've always been able to have food and a place to live, and I don't see any reason why that's going to change now. So I try and put a positive spin on life and just do my best, really.
Yeah, no, 100%. The media definitely like fearmongers, and you're like, ooh.
Well, I just avoid it. I
Yeah.
just don't listen to it, or just I just avoid
No, smart.
mainstream media.
Yeah, no, smart. My housemate's bullying me because if they put on the news, I'm like, turn it off. They're like, it's Andy's kryptonite. I'm like, I don't want to hear it. I'm going to be in my positive world.
That's right. Yeah, for sure. Well, it's just not beneficial. I don't think, it's just not helpful.
Yeah.
It's just not helpful.
But at the same,
for me.
Yeah. No, so fair. And then at the same time, I still want to learn, just not from that type of place.
Yeah, I care about what's going on in the world. Yeah,
Yeah,
but I mean, but I also I care more about things that I can actually have a positive influence on, or I can affect in my life.
Or you can control. Yeah.
I can control. Knowing about these massive geopolitical problems, and the government's decided they're going to spend an extra $10 billion on the military over the next 10 years. Or I mean, I'm not interested.
Yeah, no, so fair. But if there is going to be a dip, everything's going to be on sale, guys. So have some pocket money ready to buy that up.
Well, potentially it already is, because it was like $80,000 a few years ago, and now it's $40,000.
Yeah, it's halved.
Yeah, so
so go ham if you want. We love a good sale. Okay, I'm pretty sure that is everything. I didn't even look at that really. I just had it all up here. Is there anything else you'd like to sprinkle in to the podcast?
Anything else I'd like to sprinkle into the podcast?
We will end with the fast five, but
right, okay. There's a fast five, is there?
There is. But before we do that, is there anything you'd like to sprinkle in?
With regards to cryptocurrency,
yeah,
I think education is the most important thing you can do in anything, really, in your life. So if you're interested in something, educate yourself about it, and sort of don't take one person. Don't just take what one person says as gospel. Do your own research and really try to understand it. And like I said, the Bitcoin white paper. I did a course from the University of Nicosia, which is an online free course. I don't know if it's free now, but that was really great. It was a 12-week course, included PDF documents and discussion questions, multiple choice questions, learning about the history of money and how blockchains work and cryptocurrencies and applications of them. So, I mean, it was pretty accessible. So the information is out there. A lot of people, they tend to follow YouTube, like people, so they have a favorite YouTuber or something. I'd be wary of doing that, because quite often they've just got their own viewpoint.
Yeah. Okay. So instead of just sticking to one, learning from abroad.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and also like quite often it's investing actual time and studying something is probably going to get you the best rewards, rather than just sort of like getting the quick fix and just following an influencer. That's
and just understanding. Like, I think I understand it, but I'm like, I think I still have more learning to go.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted you on, because I was like, no, I need to learn more.
And check for understanding. That's right. Just ask people, and most people are pretty. Most people are genuine and just want to help each other, right? That's what I believe. So yeah, it's been a real privilege to be able to sort of share a little bit of information about Bitcoin with you, and it's really awesome that you're interested in it, because you're a little bit younger than I am, and the future's in your hands. The
pressure, guys.
Yeah. Then it's great that you want to understand that you're not just sort of accepting what's being spoon-fed to you by the media and the hype that goes around it, and the fear and the misinformation and the disinformation. So actually really wanting to understand how this thing works and how you can use it for good in the world.
Yeah, we can use Bitcoin for good, guys. Yeah. And thank you, everybody, for listening. How cool is that? Everyone's just tuned in. And thank you for your time and energy. But we're not done yet. Okay, so the Fast Five. I will ask you 5 questions. And you just got to answer whatever comes to your mind first, okay? This is not to do with crypto anymore.
Okay.
This is to do with Martin.
Oh, right.
Martin, the good soul. Okay. First of all, what is the most life-changing book you've ever read?
Most life-changing book I've ever read. 2009, I really got into Buddhism. And The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I really loved that book, yeah.
I've heard about that book.
Yeah, so that was... but I read some other books on meditation around that time and just awakening. And I was in a corporate job. I'd been working it for 5 years, and became a national sales manager. And, financially I was doing well, but I found it a bit empty, really, empty of meaning. And then I started to become interested in meditation, and ended up living in a Tibetan Buddhist monastery in Nepal.
What?
Went traveling through Tibet and China, and had some amazing experiences. Yeah, amazing part of the world, Himalayas. So yeah, it was only 5 weeks in the Tibetan Buddhist monastery.
That's a long time, though.
Yeah, it was great. It was really, really good learning about Tibetan Buddhism, and yeah, beautiful tradition. And so more recently, I've found the 4 Agreements very powerful by Don Miguel Ruiz. And the 4 Agreements are: be impeccable with your word. So understand that words have spells, as do thoughts. And what we speak into existence can affect us, but also affects other people. So to be mindful of that, and to not take things personally. I think that's really powerful. To know that what somebody is doing or saying is more a reflection on what's going on with them, as opposed to being a reflection of you. And I think that leads to a lot more understanding and compassion when we do that as well, because we haven't walked in each other's shoes, right? So, and the third one is don't make assumptions. So always ask questions.
Mm.
So that's which is what you're doing, Andy.
Oh,
So I commend you for that.
Thank you.
And the fourth one is always do your best.
Oh. Now we don't need to read the book. No, I'm kidding.
It gives some wonderful examples, and there's some stories in there. So, but yeah, it's a beautiful writing. Yeah, I really enjoy that. Yeah, Don Miguel Ruiz.
Okay. So, am I allowed to say your age on?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So you're 46, are you?
46. Yeah, I was born in 1976. In the Chinese astrology, I'm a dragon.
You definitely don't look 46. It wigs me out. I thought you were in your early 30s. Yeah, you're looking after yourself well. So
Thank you.
You're actually the oldest person I've had on this podcast.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Amazing. Well, thanks very much for inviting me on.
For having grandpa over here. No, I'm kidding. So I say your age because I think it's important to know that for this next question, which is Tony Robbins says fulfillment. So success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And you were saying how you had your corporate job, but you weren't feeling, maybe super fulfilled. What's kind of your relationship with that quote? Would you agree, disagree?
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Agree with it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I felt fulfilled when I was riding a motorcycle in the mountains of northern Vietnam, just on my own, nearly lost, just trying to get to this village called Sapa, which is an old French village in the mountains. And it was just a wonderful feeling that I had at that time. And I was just on my own. I just felt completely free, but I also felt really just alive and blessed, and just being on an adventure. And I feel like that now, that I'm on an adventure, but in very different circumstances. So fulfillment now is maybe more grounded now that I'm getting a little bit older. So the quality of my relationships, being responsible, being a provider, which is why I'm developing this property and growing vegetables, and living life in a much different way, and feeling love and purpose and but yes, quality of relationships I think is massive influence on how you feel, and yeah.
Nice. Do you feel, I think, I don't know if you felt like this, but a lot of people, including myself at times, in your 20s, it can feel so scary. You don't know what you're doing. You're like, am I doing this right? And you're like, what is my purpose? Are these my people? Do you feel a lot more like certain about yourself and grounded?
Yeah. But those questions, I was never really asking myself those questions in my 20s. I was very loose in my 20s.
Fast and loose.
I was very loose, yeah. I had, I was going from job to job, trying out different things, and I wasn't the healthiest at that time. You know, I used to enjoy partying and taking intoxicants, and so I went through a journey of sort of having to understand why that was, and to choose a more healthy path. Yeah.
Wow. That just made me feel so much better, because I feel like it's so easy for us to look on social media and be like, oh, there's 22-year-old millionaires out there. Like, that's where I need to be. I just feel like everybody's in a rush to kind of just be super successful. Whereas you're like, nah, I went through job from job.
Yeah.
Didn't even ask those questions till what, your 30s and stuff?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It wasn't until my mid-30s that I decided that, okay, maybe I should start trying to kind of put down some, make some roots and set myself up financially so that I can potentially provide in the future if I'm wanting to, meet someone and start a family, which I'd love to do. Then I felt that I wanted to be able to provide for that future, and one of the tools that we can use is to create some wealth for ourselves and some security in that respect. So obviously it can be helpful in life to have money, and I always had I don't know why, I just had a belief in myself that one day I would start a business that I'm really passionate about, and it would do really well, and I'd make a lot of money from it. And I did.
Hells yeah. Okay, so what advice would you have for people in their early... What? Why are you laughing at me? Okay, what advice would you have for people in their early 20s who are kind of maybe, just freaking out? They're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to be rich, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, don't want to be rich for the sake of it, because that's pretty vapid, and don't pay any attention to these people on social. I mean, you do what you want to do, but people showing the bling bling, and I mean, it's like in my day it was MTV music videos, right? With the gold chains and the cars, and I mean, it's super empty. I think it's just, and it's part of the system, it's enslaving you, to want those things it's nothing wrong with wanting to have wealth and to, but to display it, that's what the media does, fame, fortune, all these things. And there's no shortage of people that have achieved those things, and it hasn't made them happier. So that leads you to think, well, maybe there's more to it than that. So don't make getting rich your goal. Make finding your purpose and something that's going to give you joy, and share that with other people, and that will bring you success. So that's the most, I think that's just find and try out lots of different, and don't feel pressured to do that. If you haven't got that, don't worry about it. Try out different things that you enjoy doing. And if you do something for a year or two, you start a business, it doesn't work, that's cool. Well done for having a go. Do something else. There's no limit to what you can do in this world. It's really up to you to decide how you want to play the game. And there's loads of different ways to play it. And there's, some seem to have better results than others. But that doesn't mean to say you've got to actually just follow that path. Try to create your own path and things that work for you, because everybody's unique, and everybody's got their own gifts.
Wow. I feel so comforted by that, to be honest.
That's great, yeah.
So comforted, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad you do, because it's like, I think people need to have confidence, have confidence. We've come this far. We look around us, most people, life's not that bad. Like, look at where we're living in paradise right here. I mean, It's absolutely, I feel so grateful to be living on the Gold Coast. But I was at Burley Heads Market this morning, like buying amazing organic food. It's amazing weather. There's so many people around that are supporting a really amazing existence for us. So for me, that makes me feel like, well, what can I do to continue that on? Maybe I can keep some chickens and I can give them organic feed and the eggs that they make, I can maybe sell those or give those to my friends, and I know that they're going to be nutritious eggs. So, and it starts thinking like, oh, what can I do to help this beautiful community as well and be part of it, to raise the vibration.
That's such an expansive, beautiful way to look at it. I'm feeling really, really happy by listening to this. I'm sure everybody else is as well. Thank you.
Well, you're an example of that.
Oh,
because you're, inviting people to have conversations that, and to broadcast a positive message as well, and to help people to maybe see things differently so well done.
Thank you. I have 2 more questions, I think. The first one is, I was speaking to somebody this morning, shout out to Sam, and he was like, can you get somebody on and ask them about, get an entrepreneur on and ask them about, there's people who want the entrepreneurs. They want to be an entrepreneur, but they're like, I don't know what I want to do, or I'm really scared to start. What if I fail? What advice would you have for those people?
Just do it.
Okay. Just start. Stop overthinking it. Just start.
Absolutely, yeah.
I like it. Keep it simple. Just start. You'll never know if you don't do it.
And I used to have this thing where, everything had to be just perfect before I would do something. Everything's got to be lined up, and remove any of the risk associated with something. Then I'll make a decision, and it's never going to be like that. So, whatever you can do today, just start doing that. However small it might be, if it's stepping in the right direction, at least you're taking steps in the right direction. But again, it comes back to finding your purpose and your passion. If you enjoy doing something, just do more of that. And chances are you're going to get really good at it. And the chances are that people are going to want to start paying you money for it because you're really good at it. And then things will go from there. Yeah.
No, that's great.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Okay. My last question I have for you is, if you could embed a habit or a mindset into the listeners' ears that will help them thrive and become the best people ever, what would it be?
Just what I've just said. Just do it. Have confidence and believe in yourself. And go with that feeling of that intuition, that feeling that you have. You don't know why it is, but you just want to do something. Just do that and just keep following that. And then you'll get momentum. And then once you have momentum, you'll start to get belief in yourself. And then you'll get results. And that will just keep compounding. Kind of like, the idea of compounding interest. It does... It's something I wish I'd have done it when I was a kid, but now it's void because the interest rates are tiny. But like back in the day, if you invest like £1 a day or $1 a day, and then there was like a 10% interest rate, banks used to pay like 10% interest on there's the idea of saving money. If you save money regularly over time, then in 20 years' time, because of the laws of compounding interest, you could have quite a nice nest egg.
Yeah.
Well, they've removed that from people. It's not on the cards anymore. But yeah.
Anyway,
just an analogy. But yeah, this idea of compounding interest. Do something good for yourself. If you feel a bit overweight or you're not happy with an aspect of your life, or you want to get fit or whatever. Okay, just do a little bit. Just keep doing that. You find you want to play the piano or you want to start a business. Okay, start learning about it. And then that will just feed in itself, and it will become you become a self-fulfilling prophecy where it will just start to happen, and you will be that entrepreneur. because you've done the steps to become the entrepreneur.
That is stunning. Thank you so much for your time and energy. I have really loved this. I love that we went from learning about crypto to just like learning about life. That was perfect. Oh, I feel so happy. Usually we plug the person's Insta, but I don't think you really want people finding you. Do you want people finding you?
No, I'm not too fussed about sort of. I'm not really. I don't have any. I do have. I'm working on a project right now.
Yeah.
I'm looking to launch a retreat place. Yeah, for
that's
doing.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's but it's still in development. Yeah, for sure. But we met at the Familyhood.
We did
workouts right on the beach. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be something like that, where a place where people can come and they can do like self-development and some maybe ice bath, sauna, enjoy food, and maybe learn something great, have a nice experience. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. And if people want to come and find me, I'm part of the Brotherhood community. Which is an amazing community of men, and we do workouts every day in the Burleigh Heads area. So if people want to find me, they can come to one of the sessions. I do the 5 a.m. sessions.
Nice. What time do you wake up?
4:45.
Oh, and you must be close by.
For sure. I'm living in Burleigh at the moment. So,
perfect.
Come along to the Brotherhood sessions, and you'll find me there.
Cool. And if you're a female, you might see him walking around Burleigh. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. I'm always so grateful. If you did enjoy it, feel free to screenshot it, put it on your stories and tag me. The Instagram is Attitudes with Andy, and you can like and share and leave a review and all the good things. Anyway, I will see you guys next week for another episode. Bye.